doomed to neither. I didn't think I would escape. I was just frozen, helpless. Nothing I could do.
That property is a pretty remote property. It's several acres.
I could hear his footsteps, and they were getting closer. The evil in his eyes I'd never seen before. Hey guys, welcome to Talking News. Please do not forget to subscribe and like and hit that notification bell if you would like notifications whenever I have new uploads. Don't forget about this new case with I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry today. Anaya. Have to remind myself to slow down. I'm trying to cram in too much. So KELSEY Berreth, part 1, on the stand. So I want to go through this, guys. Of course, we're going to be talking about Patrick Frazee. His fiance went missing on November 22nd of 2018. This is in Woodland Park, Colorado. Teller County. KELSEY Berreth is her name. The two had a beautiful little girl together. And so, but right now we do know that the little girl is no longer with neither one of the parents, but she remains with Cheryl Berreth, which is KELSEY Berreth's mother. Cheryl lives in Washington State, so that baby's being well taken care of. So who all is involved with this case? We have Crystal Lee Kinney, the nurse from Idaho, and Patrick Frazee. So Crystal Lee Kinney, just to give you a brief update, if you're new to the case, she is suspected of dumping some of the evidence, including KELSEY Berreth's phone, gun, keys, and other items. Alright guys, so I want to go ahead and get started on this. A lot of us know that this is definitely a trial to watch because it is going to be like War of the Roses inside that trial. So I do not have any affidavits on this. I do not have any court records. I have nothing but media to depend on, and of course my information I knew before going into this. So we'll do the best we can. So actually the jury selection took part last week, and it wasn't until the end of the week, Friday, that they had opening statements and everything. And then we went through the weekend having to wait a long time after waiting a year until we heard anything again. So Cheryl Berreth began her statements on Friday, and she said she asked Frazee if he knew of her whereabouts on December 2nd. He told her that they had broken up because KELSEY wanted her own space, which surprised Cheryl because her daughter hadn't mentioned this. So there was no clue that this ever happened for her. This is because her and her daughter are pretty open with each other, she says. So according to Cheryl, she said she asked Patrick Frazee if he would go over to the condo and check. And he told Cheryl that he had to visit the cows but would go over afterwards, though, quote, she wouldn't want to see him, end quote. So Cheryl told the court on Friday she didn't get confirmation if he had did that. She said Monday morning. I want to let you guys know that I am referring to an article to get this information right now. So the following day, Cheryl and her KELSEY's brother flew from Washington to Colorado. So this is after December 2nd. Remember, KELSEY's been missing since November 22nd. So that day, Cheryl said she asked Patrick Frazee if he had gone looking for her daughter KELSEY, and he said he hadn't. According to Cheryl, this is the last time that they spoke, she said in court Monday. The article continues to read that Cheryl and her husband arrived to their daughter's Woodland Park, Colorado, late December 3rd and couldn't see any obvious clues in the darkness, so they returned to the following morning to the condo. So on December 4th, Cheryl said she noticed several things just wasn't the way that she expected KELSEY to have things inside her condo. So what she noticed was the thermostat was set about 72 degrees, which was unusually warm. KELSEY would normally turn it down when she leaves the apartment. What she noticed also was the garbage seemed full and hadn't been taken out. The garbage cans were not in their normal spot. Film from cleaning supplies was in several places in the apartment, including the TV, love seat, stove, and among other locations. She knows her daughter way well because I wipe my stuff often, so that's just something. I guess if maybe your daughter don't clean very often, maybe, because I don't know, but I just think the cleaning thing would have thrown me off. When you know your kids, you know your kids. Cheryl said as she walked around the apartment, she put a photo of Kelsey and Frazee face down. A little bit more time passed, so it's about a few days later that the community held a candlelight vigil for Kelsey. And what really was strange about this, Cheryl said that Frazee did not attend. And this wasn't all that kind of threw red flags up for her. She said in addition, she said she never saw that anything where he posted social media asking for help to find Kelsey. And on the cross-examination, Ashley Porter, one of Frazee's attorneys, asked for more information on Kelsey's childhood and employment in Colorado. After all, Cheryl had previously stated how close she was with her daughter, and when asked if there was anything her daughter had kept from her, Cheryl said there was only one instance, but did not elaborate. So right now, defense is at that time was working to kind of discredit the mother that she knew her daughter that well. But Porter also mentioned how the last text Cheryl received from Berreth's phone was on November 24th, which read that Kelsey would call the following day. That call would never come, and Cheryl did not reach out again until a week later, Porter said. Well, that defense attorney can go there all she wants, but if somebody tells you they're going to return a call, you wait, and that's just something you do because you feel they might be busy, so she's going up a dead-end road there. The article continues to read that Frazee and Kelsey never lived together during their relationship, which we all knew this already. So Kelsey stayed in Woodland Park while Frazee stayed a few miles away on his 35-acre ranch with his mother, Sheila Frazee, where he could take care of her, his mother, and his animals, according to Patrick Frazee's attorney. So both Porter and Cheryl agreed that this was fair to assume that Frazee and his mother did not get along whatsoever. So the morning of Thanksgiving Day, November 22nd, 2018, the day of the alleged murder, Kelsey hadn't gone to bed until about 4 a.m. And this is because she had been helping Patrick Frazee check cattle and get medicine for him, Cheryl said, which we all knew this as well. We knew, I want to cover this one more time in a little bit more detail because they're not doing that here. If the affidavit is correct, Patrick Frazee asked KELSEY Berreth to go with him and check on the cattle. At some point while they were out there, he got sick on his stomach, which I still say he planned to do whatever he was going to do out there, and that's speculation. But continuing with the facts, he got sick, and they ended up driving back to the 35-acre ranch where Patrick Frazee lived, dropped him off, and KELSEY Berreth ended up getting him medicine and giving it to him. And that's where we're at right now. Now, Cheryl confirms that during their phone conversations that morning with her daughter, she knew Kelsey wanted to create a backup plan for dinner and wanted to get her gun back, though it wasn't clear why. Why in the world wasn't it in her possession in the first place? A lot of us kind of speculate that Patrick Frazee kind of asked her if he could see it for a while and was going to use that as part of this plan, but we won't find out that, I'm sure. But continuing with the facts, Cheryl confirmed that during their phone conversations that morning, she knew Kelsey wanted to create a backup plan. That's where I left off, right? So according to Cheryl, she says it did make sense that the gun wasn't in her KELSEY Berreth's possession. It's because Kelsey didn't feel safe running anywhere without it. And Cheryl noted that the structure of the text just seemed odd. It had lots of punctuation marks and exclamation points, which Kelsey typically didn't use. When asked about their finances, Cheryl said she was under the impression that it was cheaper for Kelsey to live in Woodland Park and Frazee to rent an apartment than for him to travel to see her in Washington State. The declining cattle prices were to blame, according to Cheryl. Knowing the couple had this hardship, Cheryl told Kelsey she would help them buy a ranch, but Frazee worried about the family perception if he was to make a payment. If he couldn't have made a payment, I'm sorry. They also struggled when Kelsey was offered a pilot job in Grand Junction. Frazee didn't want her to leave, but also wanted her to have a job, Cheryl says. She says she remembers telling Kelsey she could use those flying hours to land a better job and that she could still go home to see Frazee on the weekends. The jury did not have any questions following Cheryl's testimony, and she was dismissed. Can you imagine, guys, sitting in that courtroom having to look at that guy? So the prosecuting attorney, Beth Reed, called the next witness, which was Clint Berreth, to the stand. Clint is Kelsey's older brother by 2 years. In November 2018, he was living in Tacoma, Washington. When asked, he said he believed that the last time he spoke to his sister was early November, but they had texted the week of Thanksgiving. They had exchanged ideas about when each would visit each other and their Christmas plans. Kelsey told him during the conversation on October 31st of 2018 that Erin Frazee, Patrick Frazee's sister, had a lawyer that had contacted her, lost my spot, guys, looking for dirt on Patrick. From what Kelsey had told him, Clint said he understood that there was a fight over Frazee's father's assets. Their father had died around that time. With the holidays nearing, Clint decided to buy Kaylee, Kelsey, and Frazee, which is Frazee's daughter, who was 1 year old at the time, an ornament. He ordered one to be delivered to Kelsey's apartment the week after Thanksgiving. Around the holiday, he texted his sister multiple times but never got a reply, he said. When Cheryl called on December 2nd to ask if he had heard from Kelsey, he said he hadn't. Clint started to choke up in the courtroom as he said he initially thought she may have been mad at him for canceling the Christmas plans, but then worried something bigger may be at play, he said. Again, the subject comes back up that both Cheryl and Clint flew to Colorado and drove to Kelsey's condo in Woodland Park, he said. Cheryl, the mother of Kelsey, had the key to the condo and they went inside. Like Cheryl's testimony, Clint mentioned that the apartment was very warm. He noticed the cinnamon rolls on the stove and that they were uncovered and hard. On Friday in court, Cheryl had said Kelsey was making cinnamon rolls on Thanksgiving morning. Clint told the court that her laundry hadn't been done and neither had her dirty uniforms. They were still on the floor, which was very unusual for her, according to them. So when Clint went into her bathroom, he saw that her toothbrush, makeup, and hair items were all still there. He noticed a dirty broom on her bed, he said. He couldn't find her car keys, but found her luggage in the loft. They both stayed in that apartment that night. The following day, they went to the Woodland Park Police Department where they talked to the police for about 12 hours, he said. December 6th, Clint was using the restroom in Kelsey's condo when he noticed blood under the bowl in the toilet. Of the toilet. Sorry, guys. He told his mother and the police. After this, the police asked them to leave the condo. Clint said they were not allowed back in at that point. Police asked Cheryl or Clint if they had used any cleaning supplies while they stayed at Kelsey's condo. They hadn't. Only dish soap to clean the dishes. At this point, they end up calling a third witness. The prosecutors called to the stand this Monday Angela Gerber, an elderly woman who lived next door to Kelsey. Their condos share a wall. Now this one, guys, I had no information on, so this is something that I won't know. I'm going to find out along with you guys as we go over this. Gerber says she met Kelsey on the day Kelsey moved in. At one point, she gave Kelsey a baby gate. Gerber said that she was in Utah for Thanksgiving and returned home the following Tuesday. She said she hadn't heard anything unusual until the police officer knocked on her door 10 days after the holiday and asked if she had seen Kelsey. She said she had not. Several other conversations with the police followed. Gerber said that she remembers telling the police that most of the time she saw Frazee at the condo was on the weekends, with a few appearances during the week. So it seems it's true, he wasn't really over that much. I'm switching environments, guys. So during the cross-examination, Porter asked Gerber, this is defense, guys, if Kelsey and Frazee were quiet. Gerber said they were. She never heard a fight or a disturbance from the unit. She added that Kaylee must have been a good or the best baby because she wasn't loud, but noted there were sound of barriers between the apartments. Yeah, I think defense was trying to prove that, there was never no fighting, and so she didn't hear anything. But what it really proves is they got a good sound barrier. She wouldn't have heard anything. So the prosecution then brought up the fraud analysis for Safeway, who confirmed Kelsey had visited the Safeway that morning of Thanksgiving. She was dismissed with cross-examination. KELSEY Berreth's manager describes text from Thanksgiving Day. Prosecutors then called upon Raymond, I don't know how to pronounce this name, guys. It's Sieberring. So, who works at Doss Aviation, where Kelsey had been working when she went missing. So, the company is owned by L3 Harris. Now, guys, I'm not going to put a lot of images in here so we can try to pull this off because it's going to be longer than 30 minutes. So Raymond worked at Kelsey's as Kelsey's assistant flight director. He was the first assigned to work with her in July 2018. She was incredibly diligent in her work, he said, and even though the process was meant to be stressful, she handled it well. On the days where she thought she missed work, she always notified him, he said. She typically entered the PTO ahead of time in the company system, but there were some circumstances where employees were sick, so they call or text to let the supervisors know. It wasn't uncommon for Kelsey to text in sick, he said. He noted she would call the scheduling department to let them know. The state pulled up a screenshot of text between her boss and Kelsey, which stated that in October 2018 and went until November 30th of 2018. Kelsey's boss continued to say that he freely offered his information to the police and the CBI when they asked about it. They exchanged texts on November 20th when Kelsey said she convinced Frazee to go to the company's holiday party with her. Kelsey's boss replied saying that it was great news because he wanted to get to know him. Her boss texted everyone he worked with, wishing them a happy Thanksgiving. He said Kelsey's reply, which came late in the day, read, "Hi, Ray. It was a great day. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too." Her boss then said, it was very strange that she used a comma after his name instead of an exclamation point. He also noted that usually Kelsey uses a lot of happy faces and stuff in her text, which wasn't there. So, the next text from Kelsey, which was received at 5:06 p.m. on November 25th, also lacked exclamation points or smiley faces. It read, "Hi Ray, sorry for the late notice, but I won't be able to make it in this week. I need to go see my grandma who is sick," end quote. The prosecutor then asked if Kelsey had ever asked for time off in this manner, and her boss said no. But he noted it sounded urgent, so he just thanked her for letting him know. He did not receive another text after that. However, it didn't mean that he didn't reach out multiple times with questions regarding work. She never contacted their scheduling department, which was unusual, he said. Kelsey didn't go into work on December 3rd when she was expected back. Her boss said police contacted them that day asking her about her whereabouts. At that point, he switched into a cross-examination. Porter first asked Ray about the text from Thanksgiving. Her boss, Kelsey's boss, said he didn't notice the lack of exclamation points or emojis at the time, but made a note of it after she had been missing for more time. Porter compared the text from November 20th to November 22nd. They had similar punctuation. Police recall started the missing person investigation. After Raymond is done being cross-examined, the prosecutor Reed actually calls another witness, the Woodland Park Police Department, Dina Curran. I remember her. She worked for the department 14 years as a patrol officer. So Dina said that she took the initial call from Cheryl on December 2nd asking for a welfare check. Curran went to Kelsey's residence, but nobody answered. She noticed a package by the door addressed to Kaylee. According to Clint's testimony, this may have been the ornament he was sending to Kaylee. So Dina called Kelsey's number and then tried Frazee at 1:50 p.m. She knew from Cheryl that they were dating. She recorded the 15-minute conversation with Frazee on her body camera. So when Dina inquired when Frazee last spoke to Kelsey, he said, it's a guy. He said it was a previous Sunday, November 24th. He explained that they had talked about how their relationship wasn't working and the stress of her work was starting to get to her more. He said he returned her car, house keys, and the gun to her. In the recorded call, Frazee told Dina he was going to give her space and for her to figure out what she wanted to do and if she wanted to find a place in Washington, Idaho, or Pueblo. During the call, he mentioned that Kelsey had been to rehab for depression and alcohol abuse. Frazee told Dina, I hope I'm saying his name, I'm sorry if I'm not, he received a text on November 29th that Berreth's phone had expired. In court, Curran, we're just going to call him Curran instead of Dina, said she noticed the lack of concern during the phone call. When Reed asked if Frazee ever asked about Kelsey's welfare, she said no. So, after trying Kelsey's phone again, Curran called Doss Aviation, where she learned, is it a she or a he? It is a she, okay. Learned that Kelsey had said via text that she would be out for a week to see her grandmother. So after this, Curran and the police sergeant who was interviewed following her testimony went to Kelsey's condo to see if they could find any clues of her whereabouts. And she says she didn't see anything unusual and didn't notice the warm temperature or the blood spots. She says she saw cinnamon rolls on the stove and both of Kelsey's vehicles in the driveway. Okay, guys, so now we're going to go into what is happening today, Tuesday. So I hit my limit here. I can go about 30 minutes on these things. And what we did find out Monday was basically everything we've heard before with just a little bit of extra added to it. And of course, defense is trying to, do their best to make Cheryl look like she was not the mother she claims she is. And then kind of questioning the boss, has she always, texted in this way? And are you sure type things. But as the days go by, we will start getting into the part to where everybody's waiting on Crystal Lee Kenny, her time to get on the stand and testify. And I keep saying, when Patrick Frazee sent out a message that he might point his finger to someone else through his attorney, I think that was kind of like a threat sent to Crystal Lee Kenny, if he say, keep talking and watch what I do. Of course, we won't see if he actually does that until that time comes. But having to hear this family relive this at almost the exact time must be very difficult for them. It's sad and it breaks my heart. Okay, guys, I apologize for that background noise. I cannot find a solid, quiet place today, and that's because I've had to do these back to back. So I will be researching what they talked about today in court, and I'll try to put that together a little bit better than I did this one. Like I said, I had so many to do. It was really hard trying to put all this together in one day. That's a lot of research, a lot of edits. It's a lot of story. So before we go, I want to make sure that I mention there are still people out there that we're looking for. We're still looking for Anaya. We're looking for Dulce. I haven't even had time to look up Anaya to see if she's been found. But we still have that little girl from New Jersey, the 5-year-old. She's still missing, and we haven't heard anything on that either. Or neither, sorry. That story doesn't make sense. I would like to cover more on that story, but I just haven't been able to. Because I feel like something just isn't right about that one. This little girl is 5 years old. She was at a park. It's a pretty open area. There's a little bit of traffic there, yet there's nobody really seen anything. We've had several descriptions that I feel that probably are most likely not very accurate. I mean, we've been told that the person that might have abducted her was wearing orange shoes and that he had acne issues. And now we're being told we have this drawing showing who this guy might be. So here's a little bit of the latest. The disappearance prompted a large-scale search by police and an Amber Alert when she went missing. There's a $52,000 reward for anybody that has tips of the whereabouts of this 5-year-old. The family continues to search the same area that she disappeared, but they've not had any luck. And that area is Bridgeton, which is in New Jersey Park. The family's also going door to door, handing out flyers, still trying to get somebody to come forward. Maybe they've seen something. That's what they're thinking. They have quite a big turnout most of the time. They have like 75 people that actually turn up to help try to find the little girl when they do have searches. They do it through bad weather. It doesn't matter. So if you've seen this little girl, you live in that area, please share her face, share her information. And then we have that new case, Anaya, please. Anaya Blanchard disappeared from Montgomery, Alabama, that area, but she's from Birmingham, Alabama. So, my gosh, it's just, they're coming out so often. It's so hard to keep up. I used to be able to take a story. It was pretty hard at the beginning as well, and work with that one story a little bit, and I would be able to research details. Guys, I'm struggling to get you those extra details right now, but I will actually try to slow down. I'm going to choose one and I'm going to put my time into that. I want to say to you guys, we appreciate all of you that actually watch these videos, that help us share them and try to get those faces out there. I want to remind you that I am working on part 2. So whatever they went over in trial today on the KELSEY Berreth case, I'll try to get that up and also update a few other stories if I can. All right, guys, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.